just talking about finding your purpose. Mm-hmm. How do people find their purpose?
I can tell you how I found my purpose. I think for me, everything that I've done that I could say that I'm purpose driven doing it. I never volunteer. I never seek it out. I actually just walk into it. Almost like you're going to a restaurant. Somebody say, you know what? That meal or that meat is good. And you think, I just don't like lamb. I'm not going to eat it. Or I don't like goat. Or I don't like this. Then all of a sudden, you accidentally eat it and you don't know what it is. You say, this is good. Then all of a sudden somebody said, this is goat. No. See, from that point on, you learn that, no, you didn't really purposely say that I'm going to eat it. You accidentally ate it, then you find it's good for you. So for me, everything that I've done that was good for me, I never planned it. And not most of everything that I've done is good for me. I was forced into it. Whether a job was closing up and I had to go find another job, and I found out that job that I ended up with, because someone told me, was the best job I ever had. And then I found out that, you know what, this fits me. So if it fits me, then I'm working in my purpose.
As I got into real estate, it wasn't necessarily that you spoke my purpose into me, but you definitely gave me confirmation that I was going towards my purpose. And that's what I always appreciated about you as a father, is that you never made me do things, but you saw things in me that you knew that I would be good at, things that aligned with what my unique skill sets were. And how excited you were. It's funny, Mom wasn't excited about me going to the car dealership, but you were excited about me going to the car dealership because you knew that it was a step for me to get to the next step.
You know, it's amazing because when I often think about it, I remember that you would graduate from school. And so, you know, I always like to have these, what I call pep talk. To talk to y'all guys at that time is like, I wish Dad just shut up, you know? And I understand that. But I was going to have them anyway. So I remember telling you, say, okay, Alan, let's sit down, let's talk. Let's talk about what you want to do. I never wanted to plan anything for your career. So when I say y'all, yours and Jerry's career, I never wanted to plan anything. But what I wanted to do is to make you aware of the things that I noticed about you as you was growing up. That's something that I think that you might want to consider. So for instance, I told you, I said, listen, I said, Alan, you know I have the landscape business, and if y'all want to come, you want to come to work for me, I'm still going to send you to school, to J. Sergeant Reynolds horticulture school, and then maybe y'all can take this business up. He said, nope, I'm not doing it. He said, I don't want no more landscaping. I think you was tired walking behind those lawnmowers because, as you know, for a long time, I gave y'all the push mower. The other guys had the big riders. I said, Alan, let me tell you what I see in you. I said, people look like you're a magnet. People would just come to you and they ask you questions and they love being around you. I said, you know, you'd be a great car salesman or a realtor. You said, I'm not going to do either. You said, I'm going to school and I'm going to get my degree, and my plan is to teach and coach. That's exactly what you said. I said, okay, fine. No problem. If that's what you want to do, fine. So yes, when I got the call that, you know, I have a friend who worked at the car dealership, and I'm going to, he offered me a job. I said, yes. I knew then that whatever you decided that you was going to do in that direction, I knew you'd be good at it because you was driven. It wasn't about the money. It was about people would come to you. And I knew it wasn't, you know, we didn't focus on how much money you can make. It's like, I know you'd be comfortable with it, right. and it fits you. And then I remember, I think 2 years later, I got the call, Dad, you know, I'm going to get my real estate license. Your mom might drop. It's like, what are they going to do next? And I said, he'll be fine. You were bold. because what you did was you said, "I'm gonna get you got your real estate license," and you said, "I'm going to real estate." You didn't keep your day job. You said, "This I'm going to do it or not."
Yep.
I took a lot of courage. It took me holding my breath too, like, okay, I know you could do it, but I also know that to leave one that was a short income to one that you got to build is like, okay, that's a journey. Yeah. But I also knew you could do it. Yes.
It was funny because you go on steps in your life and you don't understand why you're not where you think you need to be, but you're right where you need to be for that moment of your life, right?
Yep.
And being at the car dealership, while it was commission based, mostly commission based, but you still had a small base. So it was getting me ready to go full commission based as a real estate agent. And then the second thing was I worked so much at the car dealership that I didn't have time to spend money, right? Because at a car dealership, you got to work from bell to bell. Every weekend you're working. That's when people are. You basically have to work when people are off, right? And that's the time when most people spend money, right? So I was not spending money, and it was perfectly preparing me to step into real estate. And I vividly remember, I know where I was at the moment when I made the decision. I had just purchased my house in Woodbridge. I was driving up Route 123 to go to the car dealership, and I hadn't gotten quite to George Mason yet. And I was we always have a routine. We've been doing it for years. I talk to you on the phone on the way up. And I was like, Dad, I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to do this. And I think you meant that I was getting ready to do this. No, I was ready to do this day, right now. So I made a U-turn while I was on the phone with you and went back home to the house that I had purchased, right? And I think I went to the gym. I worked out, and then that next week I went and interviewed 3 different brokerages. And I sat down and I really dove deep into who was gonna be my mentor, what type of office environment I wanted to be in. And I remember I was uber confident that if I could sell used cars, I could sell a house. I'd already been through the process of purchasing my house. I knew what the process was. I knew I had a lot of people that were like me, but the moment of truth, I was on the phone with you. And it was a blessing to have you at that moment of truth, right? Not to tell me that I was going to be a rock star, but to tell me that I'm here with you as you make this decision.
We got it. That's right.
We got it.
We got it.
We got it. And
Yep.
I think back to many moments in my life where you and Mom have been there to let me know that you're there with me while I'm going through the decision. Not to say that, you ain't gonna have no rocky times, not to say that you're not gonna have no challenges, but the blessing of having my dad, my best friend, my mom, my support system there as I'm shifting and pivoting through life is the best blessing.
My philosophy was always, when you're young, if you have to change career or anything, do it now.
Right.
Learn what fits you now instead of later. Because I've seen it both ways. And one of the things I decided as a parent, and the strangest thing is everything that I decided to do was not done for me. Maybe it was a good thing, but I became aware of that I can allow you to become the best you from your own mindset and perspective. Does that make sense? In other words, I'm not trying to create and remold. That I already knew I wasn't going to do that. But what I will do is listen and say, okay, is that what you want to do? And if that's what you want to do, then I felt that it was extremely important to say, okay, how can I come beside and help coach you through it, but not push you through it, but coach you through it. and I think that's the, that I'm glad I learned that. And I'm glad I realized the importance of that. I'm grateful that I have that attitude because it's important, even being a grandfather, to do that and to see that and to realize that I'm there as a grandfather, but as a friend, but also as a listener to say, you got greatness in you, okay? I don't care whether you're sharpening a pencil, you know. I'm not going to criticize and say, no, sweetie, you're sharpening it the wrong way. No, 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 no. Let her go through it. And then if the lead breaks fast, and I can see, she said, "Oh, my lead breaks." Okay, sweet. Then I think you might want to try to do it this way. Don't make it too pointed, because it will break. The whole idea, and I'm so grateful that I allowed me to grow in a way that I became a listener as well as an advisor, because as a parent you do both. But if all you're going to do is tell them what to do, but they're listening, then sometimes I think as a parent you have a tendency to not let the people we care about grow up and shine in their own moment. Because I never was one that felt that y'all won't make no mistakes. I knew that. At the same time, I just wanted to be there to help. Say, okay, do you need my help to lift you up, to pull you back up, or do you need, or we can sit down and we can talk about it, we can think about it. And like you said, we did a lot of talking. We started a long time ago and haven't stopped yet. We communicate a lot, and that's is a great foundation.
What makes you a great man?
Boy, that is a mouthful right there. I never consider myself great. I could really consider myself as someone who's passionate about what he does, how he does it, and how it impacts the people around me. And if they call that being somebody great, then I will wear the shirt. But at the same time, I don't consider myself great. I consider myself as someone who's learning and molding every day to be better than I was yesterday. Listen, I got a dog now. So I haven't had a dog in 8 years, right? So I'm looking at this and say, okay, what purpose is this? And what I find is it also reminds you love is still the most valuable thing that you can demonstrate. And now my dog won't even leave me alone. She follows me everywhere I go. It's amazing how that works. So what makes me great? I think just being who I am and try to be the best I can at all times. Not obsessed with it though. It's just, this is what I do. I have people all the time say, they use the word, you are a great man. I say, oh, no, I'm not great. I am just me. And I always say I'm better than good.
You're a great man to me.
And I'm a great man to my grandkids too.
Right.
And I think I'm still great to my wife too.
I know you are.
52 years, I should be. I would say this, what makes me great? If I could use something to really make me great, is to see someone I care about shine. Then I can say I'm a great man. When I can see you and the impact you have on your family and your friends, the people around you, and even a stranger, then I say I'm a great man because I sowed the seed. Maybe if I could use the term, I would use it there.
That's the next level of greatness, right? It's practiced greatness. It's not just like most men are like, they would have said that I'm great because of who I am, right? I'm great because of the way I think or what I did or what I earned. But I always saw you measure your greatness by the legacy that you left, the seeds that you planted, because that's the ultimate measure. Like a lot of people can go out and plant seeds in a garden, right? But it's the harvest that's the most valuable thing. And the harvest should be so large that it's not even just, you're not even going to be able to eat it all yourself anyway. It's what you share and what comes from it. It's funny, it's watching the way that you interacted and the way that you were just being you helped me in my business. Because I saw you everywhere you go, interact with people. Sprinkle a seed here, sprinkle a seed here, sprinkle, not even wanting the harvest right now. Right? Not even thinking about the harvest right now. There are a lot of things that you've planted that I've been able to eat off of and really get full off of. If your lessons truly are lessons that I've learned, then I have to do the same thing.
I can receive that. I think that not only do you have to do the same thing, but you do it better. You know, and you and I've talked about it, man. I think to see what kind of father you are, I go to sleep real good. Knowing that my grandkids, my daughter-in-law, who I think of like a daughter, is so protective because of the father, the friend. People talk about worrying about death. Death does not worry me because I know that my legacy lives and it lives through you. I'm at peace, like you and I talked before. I said, man, I'm at peace with myself. I'm at peace with myself because it's not who I am, but who I encourage and watch you become great in yourself. I need no recognition. I don't want it. I appreciate you because every time I see you, I see me.
What makes you a great husband?
I would say love, commitment, and willing to give up myself.
Is that something you had to learn?
You know, when my mom, who did domestic work, but everybody knew her. So I remember as a young boy, whenever I was with my mom, because my mom didn't drive, so most time, you know, we would take her places. But whenever I was with my mom, people would say, my mom's name was Blanche. She said, Blanche, is that your son? He is the nicest guy. Because even at a young age, I opened the door for my mom. I made sure that, you know, I shine at that moment. I believe that really began to mold me into the kind of young man that I become as a husband. So when we talk about what makes me a great husband, and I think it started even then because I was passionate about what people thought of me. For me, it was easy to, when I met my wife, to be passionate about showing love and being committed. Now, hey, listen, 52 years, I would be wrong to sit here and tell you there haven't been some challenges. Absolutely. But I was committed. And I remember, you know, my responsibility. I often tell people now about, you know, they use the word love. I say, okay, what is love? You know, love is action. You know, you can use the word till you're blue in the face all day long. I love you. You know, the same man that go and beat his wife, turn right around and say, I love her. I just love that woman. And then he go in there and beat the fire out of her again. No. That's word. That's his action, but it's not the right type of love. For me, no. I'm gonna show, you know, if I respect that rose right there, I'm not gonna just trample it down. I'm gonna make sure that rose, either I go ahead and weed it around it so I make sure it shines even better. Another thing too, I think my father and my mother were the fine example for me as a husband and wife. Never once did I ever heard them fuss. Yes, they disagree, but they never fussed around me. That really set a great example. You often said that you mirror yourself, your relationship with your wife, from the relationship that your mom and I had. Mm-hmm. You know, and we always try to work very hard together and try to get things done.
Marriage and business. You've been doing it for 30 years.
Over 30 years.
30 years, marriage and business. Exclusively, you guys are your own boss. But every day, you're in the same house, right? What are some things that you have found have been keys in that successful marriage of both, right? The success of both.
Greatest thing that I learned was I do not have to make my wife over to be like me. And I can accept her in her strength, and I also can accept her in her weakness, because we all got them. At one time, I tried very hard. To make my wife like I wanted her to be. I want her to think like I want her to think. And then all of a sudden, time passed and a light bulb came on and said, why are you doing that? I said, you know, because it's both of us thinking the same thing, going the same way, we can accomplish. And it came to me and said, no, that's not the plan. The plan is, you know where you're supposed to be. It's not necessary is where she's supposed to be. So I often tell guys this. I said, listen, one of the things I think will make a great relationship is pick your battles. Always know that certain battles are not necessary to fight. You know, I can respect my wife, I can love my wife, and my wife does not, as many years I go out and work on buildings, she does not necessarily need to go and see the building. And it's not necessary for me to have to come home and tell her all about everything that happened that day, because it's just not necessary to do that. And I think that's been my strength, is I respect her a lot. But certain things that it's okay, I got it, I'm handling it, it's fine. And it's gonna benefit the family. You know, it's not gonna take away from, you know, the goal. I think that I learned that I don't need my wife to be me.
Yeah, Crystal and I have been working together for almost 10 years, almost 10 years together. Our strength comes from the fact that we're very different. I've learned that there has to be a separation between life and business. And if you are both working on the same thing, there are times when you need to work on the same thing.
There are times.
But there are also times where you need to individually work on what you're good at.
Exactly.
As we've matured, we've started to really understand what each person needs to be able to work effectively in their own lane. Not judge that we are both accelerating at the same pace. There's some times when I'm tired and I'm just not the leader that I need to be, but she is in the back end being a rock star.
Listen, the strength of a battery, you got a positive and negative poles. And if you didn't have that, you're not going to do anything with that battery. And when I'm strong, maybe she's weak. And when I'm weak, she's strong. We feed off of each other. I mean, I think the same thing is, listen, raising kids. I don't expect for my kid to be the parent. Even sometime when things not going right, I'm still the parent. And I allow things to take shape and not trying to rush it. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing with my relationship with Ida. I often say I'm an observer. I like to observe things. And I know and I can tell when I need to leave certain things alone. It's okay. It's going to be fine. If I come back around to it, fine. If I don't, that's fine too. That's been my greatest strength. Knowing my surrounding, knowing what's important, what's not important. But also having a goal in mind. You know, don't just throw the towel in and run away because things are going bad. No. That's what happened in marriage. You think you're running from something, and you do for a while, and you run right back into something else just like it. You did not allow yourself to grow and figure out how best achieve what you want to handle it, but they run away from it. I never was a person that ran away from anything. If it's a challenge, I'm gonna face it. It may take me longer to fix it, but I'm still gonna face it. I never was the one to run away. I get there in foxhole first. That's always been me. That's been my success too, and that really helped me in my career.
If someone wanted to start their own business, someone wanted to get in real estate, what's one or two things they need to hear?
First thing, they need to know they can do it. Just don't compare yourself to anybody else. Don't do that. If you want to get in real estate business, yes, networking is always important. Communication is always important. I think that we spend too much time trying to figure things on our own and getting advice from people that they don't have very little value, but they've been our friends. So those are the ones we're going to talk to. Communication, networking, and getting the right information. And then you can decide. So there's nothing forced on you. I have a lot of people come to me that knowing that I'm in real estate and want to get in real estate and want advice. And I tell them, I didn't write the book. That's not what I did. However, somebody else did it. And I like the information that is in the book. And I always lead them to that. And I always lead them, I said, now, then you go and talk to someone else who are successful in it, but please do yourself a favor. Never compare yourself to that person, because if you do that, then you can be very disappointed. You know, you got to learn to run your own race. For me, real estate has been a great thing. And then also, not everyone should be in real estate. You're thinking and you're seeing things with your eyes. You say, oh, you know, they're making a lot of money, so you don't get in real estate business. Wrong reason. For anything to be successful, you have to have a passion for it. That passion is something that grows over time. So you start out, you know, excited, and then over a period of time, the excitement gets so that, man, I just get up in the morning, I'm ready to go. But you grow into it. So, you know, everybody want to dance like Michael Jackson now, and then get it and break an ankle. When it's not necessary to do that, you know. I often talk to guys that they say, you know, man, I want 50 houses. I want all this rental properties. I said, okay, go get it. They said, why? I said, because I'm going to buy it from you pennies on the dollar. I said, because I don't think you're ready for it. You know, just like becoming a man. I grew into the kind of man that I am. By observing other people, I also knew what kind of man I didn't want to be. Same thing with my business. I grew into what kind of business I want to run. Honest, true, trustworthy. You know, I grew into that. Were you ever dishonest? Not on purpose. No, not at all. Grew into becoming more aware of making sure that demonstrate what kind of person I am. I'll walk away from it first before I want to take from you. I'll let you have it. I'll walk and have done it.
Do you know anyone in your area that owns as much real estate as you? Very few.
Black?
I know they ain't
No.
black people, right? But even white people.
There's some, not many.
On one hand,
Maybe.
one hand, but yet you still go through the impact. You still feel the impact of being black.
Oh, absolutely. Let me tell you a story. This happened when Ida and I was first buying our first house. So we called a realtor. The realtor was recommended by a friend, and we called this realtor to say we want to buy a house. The first place that she took us to, now realize this, we were living in Charlottesville. So we wanted to move into the country. She took us to Crozet, and there was a little area in Crozet that was a black neighborhood. I never told her about anything. I said, you know, we want to buy her. And the first place she took us was into the black section. I'm so grateful that my Ada and I, we said, why would she bring us here? And it was a little small house. And she was nice enough to say, well, I think this is the house you can afford. After that, I ended up getting another realtor because I saw where she was going with it. So yes, being a black man in the real estate business is, oh yeah, I see it all the time. You know, I try to handle it very gracefully, but at the same time, I don't run from it. I think that once I decide that, okay, once I see something that really begin to irks me, I'll speak up or I'll move on. There is challenges, and I think that what happened even as a, because we turn over a lot of property. We don't really turn over a lot of property, we buy a lot of property, hold them. The first thing when you want to a bank, they want to know how you end up getting all the other properties that you have. There's still challenges. I think that I've carried myself in a way there now that I go into a bank and I focus on staying in one bank. I don't move around to a lot of banks. So, and I try to develop a relationship, but I try to develop in a way to let the person know that I'm dealing with, that this is what I want from you. And I know what you're going to expect from me, but this is what I want from you. And you cannot give it, then that's fine. I remember my wife and I, we left one bank, went to another bank, and the guy who's supposed to be wanted to take over our account, but I didn't let him do it. And the first thing he said was, I thought that Linwood and Ida was our friend, and that since I lived down the street from him, that he would always, he would let me do his business. We never had a relationship with him. And furthermore, when he drove down the road, he never waved anyway. So I already know, no, I can't do business with you.
Being black and being in real estate was never a challenge for me. It was always just something I had to navigate through. It was just a reality, right?
Absolutely.
Because if you look at it as a challenge, then that's something that may stop you. But if you look at it as just the reality of what it is, we had a client who they ended up coming to us because they fired their agent. Mm-hmm. And as we were kind of talking a little bit more about why they fired their agent, they said that they met this, I forgot where they said they met the agent, but the agent was showing them houses in Kingstown, where I used to live. Mm-hmm. And that the agent was from McLean. Mm-hmm. And that when she came out to Kingstown, she brought a gun, right? Because, I think she said, the story was she felt unsafe. Mm. Now, Kingstown was where I lived. There was nothing unsafe about Kingstown. Mm-hmm. There was nothing that was unsafe about Kingstown, but her reality of where she was to where she was going, and there were maybe 7 miles apart, it was a different world. People's perception of what safe is, what's unsafe, what a neighborhood is, what a good neighborhood is, what a bad neighborhood is really based upon the way they live and the way they think.
Absolutely.
For me, I've always been very sensitive of that with people. you know, I'll walk into places where people look at our Google reviews and or I'm referred by someone and no one ever says, oh, he's a great black agent. They just say they're a great team. He's a great agent. They do awesome. They've been doing X, Y, Z. And sometimes I walk into those houses and they don't know that I'm black until I show up, right? And you can always tell that look.
Oh man. Oh hey, I had it. I had somebody call and want to rent my apartment, and then you could read their lip. Oh my God, he's black. And I got in my truck. I smiled. I knew exactly what they said, man. And I showed them the property, absolutely. And they said, "Oh, this is nice. Can we get an application?" I said, "No, you can't. I'm still black," and got in the truck and left. Most of the time, the person don't even know that I'm the one that own the house, and I don't feel any need to tell them. And the ones that want to know don't look like me, and so I don't even say a word, and I just let them keep thinking what they want to think. I'm the maintenance man, and yes, I am the maintenance man. I got the truck, I got all the equipment. Now I have called a few of them down, and I never forget one lady, and I was on Cherry Avenue. And she was renting a house, and I had to go there and do some work. Talking to the neighbor across the street, telling them, I was underneath the window, she didn't know I was there. She was telling them how excited she is to be in the neighborhood, and they own the house. And by that time, I stood up and looked, and I could have bought her for a dime. And I knew what she was trying to do. And even like where we live now, when we first moved there, and we don't have a big house, 1,800, maybe 2,000, 2,100 square feet, exact. Some of the neighbors want to know, well, what do you do? I was walking down the street with my dog. What do you do? I told them what I believed they were thinking. I said, I'm a drug dealer. And I kept walking. I never changed my stride. Just kept walking. I said, I'm a drug dealer, and kept walking.
I was at my house, and it's so, like, racism is so diabolical that it makes black people be racist.
That is true.
Right, it makes us adjust. So I've done a lot of business with this vendor, sold a bunch of houses, already a top agent. And he had already referred a lot of people to us. And his mom and dad were looking to sell a house in Great Falls, right? Exclusive neighborhood. But I'd already done a lot of business. I was the #1 agent on his list. He says, Alan, man, I just gotta let you know my mom's selling her house. I've been to the house before. Like, I've been there, entertained. My kids have been there, really good friends. And he said, I just want you to know my mom told me that I need to go get a white female realtor because that's the type of agent that they think is going to be able to sell the house better. And I was like, wow. I was like, are their numbers better than ours? She's like, no. It's like, she had more experience? No. And it was just because of their racial makeup, right? It was very specific. It wasn't even a white male. It was very specific, a white female that they wanted. I ended up having a conversation with them about 4 years later when they moved back into the area, and we helped them buy their $1 million house. And I told them, number one, how much it hurt me to hear that. Not that I wanted to sell it. I was already doing great. But the fact that they had to think that way, it really let me know that we still got so much. We got, not only do white people and people who are racist and all these other people, but we have a long way to go with ourselves, the way we think. As a real estate agent, I worked out of my house a lot. I have a propensity to, play my music and I was a young agent. And I had a myriad of my neighbors who just could not figure out who I was and what I did. And I always felt like I had to qualify who I was to make them feel comfortable. And it was so frustrating that it drove me just to be a beast. It drove me to be the best real estate agent I could possibly be. It drove me to be the best businessman. It drove me to buy more houses. It drove me to prove, not to them, but to me. And the last house that I rented out, they walked in, they were an older white couple, and they had no clue that the owner did not look like them, was not from them. And it was just this look on their face of just, it's hard to describe this because the house is so nice that they want the house, but they're not really ready to deal with the reality of who you are. and they got to make a decision. The house is so great, but the reality of who you are is something that I got to unpack.
I just rented some duplex, right? And when a person come and look at it, most of the time I never tell them that I own the place. So I know they're very comfortable in me showing the place. Just as soon as I give them an application, and it has, because I introduced myself, I said I'm an ARJ, and just as soon as I give them an application, they see at the top of the application, ARJ Property Management, the whole expression changed. But they got to rent it because it's the best looking place they've seen. I'm gonna put it so that it could be very hard for you to walk away from it now, but that's the way I am anyway. So it's gonna be extremely hard for you to say no, but you can say no because you are so woven in your attitude that you can't see that we can be friends. I had a man call me, when I was doing landscape, Mr. Keller, Tom Keller, one of my best customers, and he was actually the vice president of State Farm, and the president wanted somebody to cut the grass, and he was telling him apparently Mr. Keller never told him that the guy was black. A friend of mine needs somebody to cut the grass, and he said, "Can you go in there and take a look at it?" He's not doing too well, and he's running back and forth all the time, and he needs somebody to cut the grass. So I went by there and looked at it and knocked on the door, and just as soon as I knocked on the door, the lady pointed at me. She said, "We don't need you." I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. I haven't even given you a price yet. Maybe you already got somebody. And then she said again, "We don't need you. We would not use you in our yard." I already knew exactly where she was coming from. Well, the sad part of this, I was in University Hospital. This was like, I don't know, maybe a year later, something like that. And the same man was dying of cancer. I said to myself then, I bet you could, if I could give you something to save your life, you would take it. But at that time, you didn't need me. People like to compare us. They like to say, "Alan, just like your dad."
One of the qualities that I know, a lot of qualities I get from you, but discipline. I always saw you get up early. I always saw you stay up late. Not only did I see you, a lot of people get up early and stay up late, but I saw the work that you did in those early and those late night sessions. And I saw you had a routine. I would just remember in the evenings when you were in the garage, sharpening blades to get ready for the next day of work with your landscaping business. You would have your music on, right? You would have a beer, but you'd be working, right? And it was your lab.
Yep.
I just remember the sound of the saw, right? How no matter how tired you weren't too tired to prepare. Early in the mornings, I just remember you like just the simple things from, getting the trailer ready, to getting the water in the trailer, to making sure that, your guys were there on time. And it's hard for you to require people to be on time if you're not there on time. Preparation of discipline was like a PhD for me. I saw you go deep on everything that you did. So it didn't matter whether it was working on a house that you owned or whether you were working on a house that someone else owned. You always worked on it the same. And that's something that I've carried into my real estate business, is that no matter whether I'm helping someone sell $1 million house, or I'm telling someone they need to get prepared to buy a house. It doesn't matter. They still get the best of me, right? And that has bore so many fruit in our business and just in our network. To treat everyone the same, regardless of who they are or where they come from, was one of the things that got me into the business. But I learned how to do that from you. I've learned to not accept the word no, especially from my mind. I don't really worry about the world saying no, but what I really worry about and making sure that I'm focused on is making sure that my mind doesn't tell me no. Because you always taught me about the power of your own mindset and the work that it takes to make sure that your mindset is strong. So it's one thing for people to say, "Oh, I'm going to change my mindset." It's a whole nother other thing to put the work in.
Isn't that something?
To make sure that your mindset is right. Because at the end of the day, if your mindset isn't strong, if you don't know how to channel your mindset to positive, if you don't know how to channel your mindset to focus, if you don't know how to channel your mindset to discipline, to all those key things, then it doesn't matter what you do. You won't be successful, or you won't be as successful as you could be.
Define success.
Success for me has always been about the journey of getting incrementally better every day. Like every day, just getting better. And that's not just a success in business or success in money. It's success in being a son. It's success in being a husband. It's success in being a father. It's success in being a community leader. It's success in my health. It's success in my mental space. Sometimes it is success about financial gain.
All of us go hand in hand.
But
Absolutely.
I don't have to do it all at once.
No, it's not important. But, I always say if you do it right, everything else is going to follow. I think I told you this the other day. I said, listen, I have mastered one thing in my life, guarantee you. I was telling somebody that the other day. They said, really? I said, yeah. They said, what is it? I said, breathing. I said, I never miss a beat. I said, everything else, I like to think I'm a student in the classroom. I'm still learning and it's still growing. I said, no, but I have mastered that one thing. So I said, I never use the term that I'm a master of anything, but I'm a student in the classroom. And I said, I've been doing buildings over 30 years. I'm still a student in the classroom. I'm still tweaking. I'm still asking questions. I'm still, trying to figure out how can I do something a little bit better. And I might have done it 50 times or 500 times. I still have that mindset. Can I improve it in a way? And I still do the same thing when I communicate with people or see people or, my day-to-day activity, is like, how can I do it better? That success thing I think is a great thing, but it also I think is very, very dangerous because we have a tendency to put success on money. I have success because I got a lot of money, or I have success because I have a big car, or I have success because I have a big house. Instead of realizing that, first thing I have to do, my success first starts right here. And if I can control it, and if I could get a sense of peace, I remember you was telling me, said, Dad, the great, maybe it's a good thing you got a dog because now you can walk it and then you can breathe and you can meditate. And I think, I haven't had that in 8 years. Man, that is true. I can do that. Yeah.
Money was never the goal when it came to getting into real estate for me. It was the freedom to be able to create. It was the freedom to be able to work with who I wanted to work with and to attract who I wanted to attract. It was the freedom of being the type of leader that I wanted to be. Like I knew that I wanted to be a leader that attracted certain people that would never see a leader like me. And I've had a lot of brothers who've come under my tutelage who've gone on to do successful things in real estate. And I know that the one of the key lessons I get it from all the time is they said that they were able to see themselves being a leader because they saw me be a leader and they saw me be authentically myself as a leader. Doesn't mean that I don't need to get better.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean that I'm not professional. Doesn't mean that I'm not at the top of my game at all times.
Right.
But Alan is Alan, right? Alan is going to use a ain't, a can't, a should, like it's going to be something that's not quote unquote inside the box. But it's going to be for the greater good, and it's going to be something that's going to help them grow. And that's a voice that you got to feel comfortable in. You have to feel comfortable in your leadership. And as a black man, how many black leaders? Think about how many black leaders you see out there. Like the ones you do see aren't the ones they're not a lot of them out there.
No, and I think they spend so much time on themselves, trying to look good. I think I was telling you the other day. I said I carry $200 in my wallet just to give it away. I don't just throw it away. I leave it there, and at the moment that I feel that I am to make and most of the time it's people that I don't know. I just give it away because that's what I always tell people, when it's real love, you give it away, not expecting anything come back, but you eat with your soul, as they say. This has been a great journey, and for me now is my whole perspective have changed because I'm building legacy now. So You know, when we talk about money, you know, I never got in this business thinking about, well, let me take it back. When I got in landscape business, I said, you know what, if I made $1 million, man, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do that. And then I realized that, well, I did make it, but it has no value. Okay. Then I realized that, man, okay, I'm so glad I didn't get so tied up in it that I was wearing it on my shirt. And then I realized that, okay, let's change this thing because it has no value and it does destroy. And then put you on a level that you think that you're better than everybody else. I had to come down. I came down. It didn't take a lot because I wasn't locked into it anyway.
What's one thing that you want your you're talking to your great grandkids now. What's one thing you want them to know?
The number one thing that Papa love them with all their heart, and will always love them, whether you can see me or not. But I'm always love you, absolutely, and just be the best you. That's what I would tell my grandkids, my granddaughters. I tell them now, hey, just be the best you. That's all I ask you. You don't have to impress me. Just be the best you, and we're going to work on it together. And I think I would tell them, run their own race. You know, don't try to run a race with somebody else that's undeserving of your time. I would never tell my grandkids to get into real estate. I wouldn't tell my grandkids to get into anything. If whatever business you chose, okay, just do it your best. Just be the best you. That's it. Yeah. But also have control of it. I know Sydney was telling me one time, she said, Papa, I was thinking what kind of job I'm going to have when I grow up. I said, huh? I was thinking what kind of job I'm going to have when I grow up. I said, sweet, I was thinking too. Why you need a job? I said, no. I said, see, you don't need a job. I said, job keep you somebody that's controlling you. I said, you don't need a job. She said, well, what I'm going to do? I said, you'll figure it out, but don't seek a job.
Yeah, it's a difference between a job and a purpose.
That's it.
Your purpose may lead you to a job.
Could lead you to a job that you enjoy.
Right.
Or a work that you enjoy.
Correct. Purpose led me to the car dealership.
Exactly.
I was there for a season.
And you got rewarded for it.
That led me to what I do now.
And you're getting rewarded for it. Absolutely.
But I chased the purpose. I didn't chase the job.
When you do that, you're already in trouble. I've seen guys do that, and all of a sudden, they fall flat on their face. And I tell them it's a lonesome road. And I've seen it. I'm grateful that I try to use humility in everything that I do. So, and I'm working in my purpose. Absolutely. Now it takes on a complete new meaning for me because I'm 72 and I'm building legacy. Everything that I've done, and I didn't even know it then. It was just for this time. I didn't even know it then. I was building my own career, but now I realize that everything I did then is for this moment right here, and from not only from here, but until the end of my time here, I'm building legacy. That means that I don't throw it away. Of course, I benefit from it, but I don't throw it away because it's a legacy.